see is you'll see a waveform, waveform.
Study acoustics.
Percent of the noise in car audio is low frequency.
Hello, welcome to the inaugural issue of Street Noise Video Magazine. I'm Larry Silvers.
And I'm Helen Moore. Our goal at Street Noise is to offer professionals, hobbyists, and enthusiasts in the mobile electronics industry quality news, views, information, and training techniques from within the industry.
Helen and I will be hosting Street Noise and bringing this information to you on a bi-monthly basis.
That's right, Larry. And we'll stop at nothing to ensure the latest in cutting-edge technology and late-breaking industry news.
We will begin each Street Noise issue with a segment called What's Ahead, simply previewing the up-and-coming segments and features.
All right, Larry, but before we get into our What's Ahead segment, we'll take a brief moment to hear a few words from our Street Noise sponsors.
Sorry.
Ever look behind your car stereo? Seriously, behind the knobs and buttons. Do you know what's really inside? Inside every Sanyo mobile audio product, there's more than just artistry in metal and plastic. There's a company.
The inaugural issue of Street Noise, we will begin with New Kids on the Block, featuring new companies and products within the industry. Noyz News will follow with exclusive interviews on the industry promotions and big industry moves. Our Install This feature is next, going behind the scenes in installation bays across the country for a friendly competition. The Know Your Noise segment will further educate our viewers about mobile acoustics, and Tech Tips 2000 will answer burning technical questions. Let's Make Some Noise is our feature segment and will be followed by the Street Noise mini-series, which will carry an industry topic over several issues. So stay tuned for New Kids on the Block with Judy Oviatt.
Kids on the Block. I'm Tyler and here's Judy Oviatt.
Hi, welcome to New Kids on the Block. I'm Judy Oviatt. Today we'll be taking you to Tucson, Arizona to visit the router template technology founder, Charlie Ford.
Charlie has developed a unique line of router jigs and accessories to make the job of fabrication a snap.
The best thing about my product is you can now take someone who has, I would say, a 0 skill level, and now they're 100% skill level. They can do the most remarkable things with their hands they had no idea they were capable of doing. So now anybody can do what the highest level fabricator was able to do before. All you need is my template, a little bit of time, a router table, a vacuum pump, and you're good to go.
If any of you have ever done fabrication in the past, you know that the bulk of the time is spent in the research and development stage.
I've already been there. I found the router bit that has the smallest amount of tolerance between the bearing and the bit. I found the best vacuum pump for the money. I found a great way to cut wood out without breathing dust. I make the tables, which is one of the hardest part of getting set up. I've already walked all the path. Now all we have to do is follow my lead and we can all get there together.
Thank you, Charlie. Next, we'll be going to San Diego's own Hotel Del for the rollout of the Eclipse Navigational Pilot. Sounds really futuristic to me. I think I'll let Mark Bruno, the technical sales manager of Eclipse Western Division, explain.
What we have here is the new van system from Eclipse. This is a voice-activated audio navigation system that allows you to navigate in your car without looking at a map or taking your eyes off the wheel or taking your eyes off the road or your hands off the wheel. Let me show you how it works. Navigator.
Do you want to navigate?
Yes.
Spell the street name.
V-I-A. Verify.
Is the correct street Virginia?
Yes.
Say the number.
It's now loading the information into the map, and it'll give us a summary here.
Followed by next, previous, or repeat. Your trip from LAX arrival to Virginia in El Segundo is about 4.3 miles. Go west on lower level 1.2 miles. Take the Sepulveda Boulevard south exit. Virginia should be on your left.
And there you have it. You're at your destination. It's that simple.
That's great. I just hope my friends don't see me talking in my car. Our final stop brings us to Orange, California, where we'll be interviewing Image Dynamic owner Eric Stevens. Eric has a unique line of high-end products.
We manufacture the horn-loaded compression drivers. We got two models of those, a CD1E and a CD2 comp. We have both a 6.5-inch and an 8-inch mid-bass driver, which are, high efficiency so that they can do a good job of keeping up with the efficiency of the horns. We have a line of, a 10-inch, 12-inch, and 15-inch cast frame subwoofer, as well as a 10, 12, and 15 stamp frame subwoofer. We have the resistive membrane kits for doing the aperiodic subwoofer enclosures. And then we also have some very high-end esoteric type signal processors.
Next, we asked Eric to tell us the benefits of compression horns versus conventional loudspeakers.
The first key to getting a car to stage an image properly would be to try and equalize the path length, to make the left and the right channels arrive as close to the same time at your head as is possible. Well, with the horns, they mount underneath the dash, okay? And the under dash mounting location is about as far as you can move the speakers away from your head. And the acoustical center of the horn is not the mouth of the horn, it's actually the compression driver. So that is all the way back up against the firewall. So when you measure the path length difference with a set of horn-loaded compression drivers mounted underneath the dash, you have a very small path length difference on the order of about 6 to 8 inches typically in most vehicles. Where if you were to measure that same path length difference in a car, measure it to the left speaker, it might be like 24 inches, and it might be 48 inches to the other door from your head. So you've got a path length difference of 24 inches.
I hope you've enjoyed this segment of New Kids on the Block. I'm Judy Oviatt. See you next time.
I'm Harry Catcher. Welcome to the Noyz News. I'll be hosting the news, taking you around the mobile electronics industry, bringing you current stories, promotions, and breakthroughs. In this issue, we visited a couple of industry leaders that have teamed up with an up-and-coming company to help strengthen their position in the mobile electronics industry. Today, we'll find out what their views are regarding the OEM versus the aftermarket and how retailers can better address the competition that's coming from auto manufacturers. Let's go to Larry in Los Angeles.
Hello, I'm Larry Silvers. Holland Moore and myself today are with President of Acoustic, Dan Peterson, and Vice President of Design Evolution, Rich Coe. Dan, with such an impressive background, along with the mobile electronics industry, I'm sure that retailers out there would like to know what kind of philosophy that you have had in the past and where you would like to take Acoustic in the future.
That's a good question. You know, we've been able to watch Acoustic over the years, and we've been very impressed with some of their technology and some of the things that they've developed for the car audio market. And when this position became available, of course, I was able to come over here and chat with these folks, and we really sat down and was really kind of philosophized on what we could do, what we couldn't do, what the possibilities are, what the, you know, just exactly what the future looks like. And my conversation with David Kwan, who is now the CEO of the company, and his resources with the people in China and what we can do here in the United States, adding on Rich Coe, and now we've also added on Reese Haggett as our Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing. The potential is absolutely phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And because we are going to be kind of a niche player, and that means is that we'll develop products specifically for the independent, this will be absolutely incredible for the growth of the mobile electronics area.
Right. It's obvious that aftermarket electronics manufacturers have been fighting a battle with the automobile manufacturers to maintain market share within the mobile electronics since the inception of car audio. With the market shrinking, automobile manufacturers being the largest competitor of the aftermarket, where do you see this industry being in 5 to 10 years?
OEM, you know, will be there. Aftermarket is going to be there. It's going to be even more probably independent driven, because it's going to take the specialists to really be able to navigate within in the car arena, because there's going to be so many onboard computers, so much high-end technology, and as a manufacturer, we've got to be on the leading edge. We have to be able to take the new cars and evaluate what it takes to put aftermarket car type car equipment in there. It's going to be an absolute key. But also another key is the retailers, the installers, they must have feedback to the manufacturers, because I mean we're in this in this together for the long term.
In addition to that, what advice would you give to the retailers out there that are trying to make their businesses grow?
I think that especially to the independents, I know that it's a crazy market out there. There's so many different outlets of products for the consumer to find products, but if the independent will truly address the needs of the consumer, be honest with them, and really adapt the products to the car, make it the best possible system they can for the amount of money that the consumer wants to spend, he'll do extremely well. If they'll follow up on the sales with these customers after they've been driving the cars for some time. Just be, you know, service orientated. I mean, that's really the name of the game. We've got to be service orientated, taking care of the consumer, working in tandem with the manufacturer, and developing new products.
Thanks, Larry, and thank you, Dan. Next, Holland had the pleasure of sitting down with a gentleman whose name is synonymous with both car audio and innovation, Mr. Rich Coe. Now let's go to Holland in Los Angeles, where she'll get Mr. Coe's insight.
Okay. What aftermarket improvements can be done to factory systems today in order to tap into the lease craze that's sweeping the nation?
The single biggest thing you can do to a lease car is to add a subwoofer to it. They typically don't make big bass. And of course you can add CD changers, you can add tweeters to the systems that are in the cars. And if you've got direct replacement loudspeakers to replace the drivers in the cars, you can basically upgrade the entire system.
Okay, sounds good. In the 70s, achieving good acoustics in an automobile was difficult. Technology has come a long way since then, I'm sure you'll agree. I was curious, what is the greatest challenge that installers and salesmen face when trying to achieve realistic audio sound in a car, and what advice can you give in that area?
Study the basics, learn basic AC and DC theory, study acoustics, learn the basic principles of sound, dream, don't lose the passion for the business, and work with your hands and be patient.
I'd like to thank our guests today from Acoustic, Mr. Dan Peterson and Mr. Rich Coe. Join us next time, where we'll be interviewing one of the most prominent 12-volt retailers in the mobile electronics industry. Until next time, I'm Harry Katcher. Welcome to the first ever industry installation competition, where you, the viewer, will have an opportunity to decide the outcome. In each issue, the folks at Street Noyz select 3 video entries and show the highlights of the installation. At this point, you call in and vote for your favorite installation. Each entry will receive a free gift from Street Noyz, and if chosen for the video magazine, will compete for a $5,000 grand prize. Mike Rowe will host this segment and is one of the industry's foremost authorities on mobile electronics installation. Each issue has a different installation theme, so call your N.A.M.E representative and get those cameras rolling. Good luck. Here's Mike Rowe with our first contestant.
Our first entry was submitted by David N.A.M.E of Tom's Electronics in Pearson, Florida. David and his assistant performed an all-Kenwood system in a new Pontiac Firebird. Here, David shows off proper use of fusing in his well-protected power cable. The factory deck is a 1.5" opening, which is shown already removed. The doors will house Kenwood separates in stock locations, and David modified the rear locations so they may also house separates. The rear of the vehicle will store the amplifiers in a custom sub-enclosure. Here, David is finishing the amp rack with a matching carpet. And looking at the finished dash, you'll see that David flipped the trim bezel to highlight the Kenwood stereo. In the doors, he bridge mounted his tweeters to get an unmistakable point source. A center channel was placed in the dash, and here is a good look at the rear separates. Here's the completion of the amp rack with a nice bank of capacitors and the sub-enclosure. A quick look at the front of the vehicle will reveal a nice stealth performance by David N.A.M.E from Pearson, Florida. Our next entry comes from Sound Lab of Joplin, Missouri. They performed an Iasca system installation in record time on a 1991 Chevy Camaro. Not only did they perform the installation days before the finals, the vehicle was also stripped and painted days before the show. Here you can see the exterior taking shape with the installation still to go. Dual alternators were used for a power source. Neon details were not hard to find in this installation. The interior was completely refinished in tweed, while the rear seat was replaced by a mammoth subwoofer enclosure. A 44-inch US amps amplifier spanned the entire trunk, and here's a good look at the rear of the subbox. Raised lettering adds to a beautiful finish. Here, the car is seen at the Iasca Finals, and what would a sound-off be without pretty girls? A nice effort from Sound Lab of Joplin, Missouri. Our third and final entry comes from Mark McConnell of Carolina Car Stereo in Greenville, South Carolina. No shortcuts were taken on this high-powered 1988 Honda Prelude SI. Notice the intense electrical upgrades under the hood. Dual mid-bass drivers were housed in the doors to complement the waveguides under the dash. A wall of woofers are seen here behind the front seats. Beautiful detail work can be seen throughout this vehicle as we move through the trunk with and without the hidden panels in place. A plexiglass schematic covered the amplifiers, and capacitors and a spare battery can be seen here with neon highlights. A remarkable job by the boys from Carolina Car Stereo, a subsidiary of Sounds Good Audio. Welcome to the People's Choice segment of our first Street Noise video magazine. In this section, we feature the previous winner of the Install This competition. This month's theme was custom amp racks, and as you can see, the competitors took it very seriously. Once the viewers phone in their votes, the People's Choice winners will have a full 2-minute segment to really strut their stuff. Each entry will compete for a $5,000 cash prize to be awarded at the MES show each year. Next month's theme is custom door panels, so you should have some type of custom panels incorporated into your videos. So get your cameras rolling and really trick out those installs. I'm looking forward to seeing your work.
Know Your Noise is a segment that will appeal to general consumers and audiophiles alike.
Over the next several issues, we will be designing and building a competition show car, then taking you along as the vehicle competes for a national championship.
In our inaugural issue, we thought it only fitting to begin with a poll from some of the most prominent experts in the mobile electronics industry.
And also in this issue, we will establish what makes a good quality sound system, and we will begin product selection.
The first question that we pose to our experts is, what is the most important factor to achieve realistic sound?
Positioning of loudspeakers.
Is the placement of your speakers.
Speaker placement.
Path lengths.
Path deltas.
Path lengths.
The time alignment of your speakers. Time arrivals.
There is the timing factor that you're dealing with.
Well, I'd say the consensus is pretty overwhelming, that loudspeakers and their placement is one of the most important factors in achieving acoustic realism in an automobile.
Now let's get down to the nuts and bolts. We asked three-time IASCA national champion Harry Kimura to join us in this segment to give us a competitor's viewpoint.
Then, we will join Eric Holdaway of SpeakerWorks and USD to begin equipment selection.
Eric's list of credentials are very impressive, including the design and installation of over 10 national champion vehicles.
We first asked Harry to tell us the first thing we should do before beginning our journey towards a national title.
Before you go and do anything, become a member of IASCA or any sanctioned body and get a hold of the rule book and read it from cover to cover.
Next, we asked how critical was the brand of equipment in regards to the actual quality of the system.
It's more of installation and tuning these days than equipment because it's very hard to distinguish acoustically difference between two amplifiers or two EQs. So that has very little to do with the acoustic performance of a car. It's more of how things are installed, speaker placement, techniques, the tuning.
Since the loudspeaker and its placement is the most critical component in the audio chain, we asked Harry why waveguides versus conventional loudspeakers.
See, the reason I changed was the dynamics of a compression driver. Its sharpness, its detail, its ability to accurately reproduce the mid-range frequencies and the high end. I had conventional drivers in my previous system and it just seemed like it put it to life. The sound came alive when I put horn-loaded waveguides in the car. The frequency response and the characteristics of it seemed to make it more detailed.
Having determined that we should become a member of one of the sound-off organizations, we have researched the information of each one of them, and we'll have that information for you in our short circuit segment coming up later.
And for now, let's talk to Eric Holdaway about the waveguide.
The waveguide speaker system is fairly unique to car audio. It's new. We came up with the idea back in 1986 and applied it to our national championship, Buick Grand National. What it is, it's a tweeter mid-range speaker that fits into a unique location, and it replaces your conventional tweeter mid-range, and it's based on a horn design. It uses a compression driver, and that gives us a tremendous efficiency. So they're very sensitive, they're very loud per watt. But along with that, it gives us a very explosive transit response with incredible detail and minimal distortion.
Since we will be attempting the installation into our 1993 Ford Thunderbird SC, we need to find out about the general applications and theory behind waveguides.
The basic application for the waveguide is it fits into most vehicles, and it does fit into most vehicles, underneath the dash. And the unique thing about that, if you think about it, when you go home and listen to your home stereo, the speakers are out there and they face you. They're aiming towards you, so you're on axis. And that gives you your best frequency response and your best imaging and staging. In car audio, mainly the speakers are in the door, so they're actually playing to your legs. If we can take the speakers and get them back on axis, we're able to get much better staging and imaging and sound. And that's what the waveguide does, because it literally fits underneath the dash, facing the listener. And that can be either on the passenger side or the driver's side.
The next order of business is to determine the use of the waveguides and necessary components that should be used in conjunction with them.
The waveguide's usually used in a three-way system. Typically it would be a subwoofer and then a mid-range or mid-woofer. The subwoofer would run from, say, 20 hertz to 80 or 100 hertz, and then you have another larger drive. Well, you would have another driver that was of fairly large size, 6-inch or 8-inch, that would actually go from about 100 hertz up to around 800 or 900 hertz. Sometimes you can actually take the waveguides down to 500 or 600 hertz too, but the mid-bass speaker is going to go from that 100 hertz up to about 500 to 800 hertz. And then you're going to come in with the waveguide, and the waveguide would replace your conventional tweeter mid-range.
Finally, Eric explained which of the waveguides would be a sound choice for competition and where they would be crossed over.
This is the A70, a bigger magnet, heavier again, flatter response, 110 dB, 1 watt, 1 meter. 500 hertz, again, minimum crossover, I always recommend 600. Optimal crossover is usually between 600 to 800 hertz.
As with many of their award-winning vehicles, we believe that the combination of waveguides and an aperiodic enclosure is a logical and successful pair.
Be sure to follow each issue of Street Noyz as we assemble the Street Noyz Thunderbird SC in preparations for the sound-off circuit. In this issue, we've made the soundstage speaker selection. We'll be installing the USD A70s, and we've decided to go with an aperiodic enclosure for the rear to cover the subfrequencies. Stay tuned to the next issue as our Street Noyz experts explain the aperiodic advantage, and we'll select our subwoofers and mid-bass drivers. For more advanced techniques regarding tuning and installation of waveguides and aperiodic enclosures, order N.A.M.E's Signature Series videos, How to Install and Tune Waveguides, and How to Design and Install Aperiodic Enclosures, featuring Eric and Patrick Holdaway. Also available through N.A.M.E is Harry Kimura's Signature Series video on competition tips. To order any one of the new Signature Series videos, call 800-467-6263.
We would like to thank our experts in this segment of Know Your Noise.
And stay tuned for Tech Tips 2000 featuring David Navoni and Richard Clark.
Welcome to Tech Tips 2000. In this segment, industry experts will answer your questions on common problems. This issue features the very knowledgeable duo Richard Clark and David Navoni of AutoSound 2000 Tech Briefs. Richard and David are involved very deeply at several capacities, performing research and development for many manufacturers. We are very pleased to bring to you Richard Clark and David Navoni with their first question. Our first letter was from Adam Rothschild and reads, Dear Richard and David, recently I was told that I could get a lower frequency response from my subwoofer enclosure if I filled it with a fiberglass insulation. Is this true? What is the theory behind this? Your friend, Adam Rothschild, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Talking about filling woofer boxes in cars. Well, in home speakers, made in Europe and made in America, where we have multiple drivers, and the woofer is sometimes forced to work up into the 800 to 1,000 hertz range, backfilling the cabinet full of polyfill or full of fiber fill has an effect. It stops those resonances, standing waves that are in the box. But in a car, we usually use our woofers below 100 hertz, and so things are a little different. You want to tell them why?
Sure. It can have a marginal effect on the performance of the box, and it can make the woofer feel like maybe it's in a slightly bigger box. Unfortunately, the difference is nowhere as big as everyone likes to think it is, and in my opinion, it's not worth getting your hands and arms all itchy and scratchy from messing around with insulation just to do it. The physics behind the process are basically that the thermal process, the thermodynamics of a loudspeaker compressing air in a box, when you compress air, it gets hot. But when the speaker starts to move forward and the air starts to expand again, what happens to an expanding gas is that it cools back down. Now, to a physicist, that's known as an adiabatic process, where no heat is actually lost out of the system. And so the energy from compressing the air is also returned back to the speaker, and so it acts as a strong restoring force on the loudspeaker. Now, stuffing the box changes that adiabatic process to a process known as isothermal. And isothermal, there is a transfer of that energy through the resistive element of the stuffing, and there's no temperature gradient in the gas, or at least the temperature gradient is minimized, and so the energy is lost as heat into the stuffing. And so to a physicist, he can easily see, wow, stuffing that box is going to really actually make it appear to be bigger to that speaker, because the energy is not returned to the speaker, so therefore the box doesn't appear to be as small. The problem is you just about have to be a physicist to see what the difference really is, because it's just not much.
We demoed this yesterday in our talk, and you can take a look at what we did. We took the box and we put a speaker in the box, and we measured the response of the speaker in the box. And then we had that box filled with about as much fill as you could put in that box, and we again took a response. And if you notice, the graphs are identical.
They were fractions of a dB different.
Yeah, they're so close together that it would hardly worth getting your hands all sticky to put that stuff in there.
Our next question came from Thomas Blake, and it reads, Dear Tech Tips 2000, I have a question regarding the transfer function of a subwoofer into an automobile. What exactly is transfer function, and how does it affect my enclosure? Signed, Thomas Blake, Dallas, Texas.
Okay, the transfer function of a device is simply a term used to define the difference between the input, the signal at the input of a device, and the signal at the output of a device. And so it is the change to that signal as a result of going through an electronic component or any other device. And so
it's the difference between the input and the output.
Yeah, that's right. That's the transfer function. And so and that is not the same as the frequency response or so forth. It is it's the effect of the change on the signal.
It multiplies the voltage 2 times. 1 volt goes
That's
in,
the
2 volts go out.
transfer
The transfer function is the function of multiplying the voltage from 1 volt to 2 volts. That's it.
Okay, so in considering the transfer function and its effect on a loudspeaker, that it's absolutely imperative to consider the fact that the loudspeaker is going to change when you put it in the car. For example, if you design a loudspeaker in a sealed box using a typical computer program, you might have an F3 point of, say, 30, 35 hertz outside of the car. As soon as you stick that loudspeaker inside the car, it's no longer going to be the same design. The low frequency response is going to rise as you get into the pressure region, where the wavelengths are longer than half the longest dimension of the car, and so the response will show a rising response down to about resonance, and then when you reach resonance, the response will actually be flat below that instead of rolling off with a second order response like you'll see on the computer program. And that would be basically the transfer function of a sealed car. Now, so virtually that speaker that has an F3 point outside the car of, say, 35 hertz, inside the car its F3 point may be 10 hertz or below. Of course, the transfer function of the car then is going to change if you open the door, roll the windows down, or do anything like that. So it's a strong consideration. It's several orders of magnitude greater than changes you might make in the box. For example, if you have a ported box for a car, and you say you have such a certain size port on it, and you tune it for 35 hertz, well, you could maybe make the port a little longer or shorter and raise or lower the tuning frequency of the box, maybe 5 or 10 hertz, and you would say, well, that's a big change. But that's minor compared to what happens when you take that box and put it in a car.
So the transfer function of the car is measuring the box outside the car, measuring the box inside the car, the response of the box inside the car. And different to those two is the transfer function of the car.
If you have a question for our experts and would like it answered on video, submit your questions in writing to Tech Tips 2000, care of N.A.M.E. 7867 Dunbrook Road, Suite E, San Diego, California, 92126. Beginning in the January issue of Street Noyz, the Short Circuit segment will give updates to several of the competition calendars for each organization. In this issue, we'll simply cover those organizations' entry requirements and how to become a member. Here are those organizations with the specifics.
tuned for our feature segment.
Welcome to Dallas, and welcome to the 1995 Kenwood Installer Workshop.
This is one of those Calvin Klein ads.
My name is Dean Hutto. I am the Consumer Products Training Manager for Kenwood USA.
Welcome to our feature segment, Let's Make Some Noise. In this issue, we visited Dallas, Texas and the Kenwood Installers Workshop. This is quite an event each year.
We spoke with Dean Hutto, the Consumer Products Training Manager of Kenwood USA, to gain valuable insight into exactly what this conference was all about.
Well, the ultimate goal of the workshop is really to teach installers some new methods of installing products into cars. And it really is not so much geared towards Kenwood. This is really to better the industry. I mean, if we can bring the level of installers up, consumers in the long run are the ones that are going to win because they're going to have much better installations done on their vehicles. Well, our objectives are really to better the industry, but one of the things that we do realize is that installers are a real interesting group of people. They have a tendency not to share ideas with each other, and in a typical training format where you go out and spend time in their stores, you're only dealing with the installers from that one particular store. By getting all of these installers together, they're sharing ideas, they're introducing new ideas to each other and really building some camaraderie, which is really kind of a hidden agenda here. And the other thing that we're trying to accomplish here is to give them all the training materials that they can then go back and train the rest of the installers and their crew.
Who do you ask to these workshops?
We invite installers from all over the country, and really what we're looking for is some of the best installers out there. So the group of installers that are here in Dallas this weekend are really the best of the best.
How long has Kenwood been doing these conferences?
Well, these have evolved over the years. Our first installer conference, I believe, was in 1987. So that's 8 years ago or 9 years ago. And what we've done is each year they've changed a little bit. This is the first year that we've gone to a workshop format. In the past, it's always been schoolroom style teaching. And we have all the installers fill out survey forms and to give us information on what we could do to better the event. And every single year, every single survey says, give us more hands-on training, more hands-on training. And that's really what we tried to accomplish this year, was to have these guys learn about installation techniques and then physically perform installations. Adults learn better by doing. And if we can sit and give them some basic instructions and let them create, the fiberglass and fabrication class that they attended. They learned all about what they could do with it, and then they physically performed the work and built mid-range and tweeter pods for all of these vehicles. Really, the highlight for the workshop was Richard Clark and David N.A.M.E. And we kind of pull off of David and Richard's talents and use them in some other areas, but we also use all of our Kenwood product specialists as instructors, and these are product specialists from all over the country. We also have Bill Besor here from AI Research, who is fabulous with building woofer boxes and things, and was an instructor in that particular class.
What type of classes are taught at the conference?
The topics that the installers learned about this weekend was how to build a woofer box, how to design a woofer box, how to build and fabricate kick panel enclosures that would house mid-range and tweeter satellites. They learned about some of the basic electronics, and the other class, which is really kind of one of the focal points here, was how to integrate into OEM systems, into the factory systems that the car manufacturers supply, because they're really making it difficult for the aftermarket to upgrade and to integrate our product into a variety of different vehicles. So what we need to do is teach the installers how to integrate our products into existing OEM systems.
What type of format is used at the workshop?
Well, the conference is formatted in such a manner that we divided all the installers up into 4 equal groups, 4 equal-sized groups, and each of those groups is responsible for performing an installation on a particular vehicle. We chose 4 different vehicles, and each group then is kind of competing against each other. What we did is we judged the vehicles prior to adding any audio system whatsoever to them. So we just judged them on what the factory provided. And since all the vehicles were not the same, what we really needed to do was to look at the amount of change that the installers were making to the systems and the improvements that they made. And boy, these guys really did some pretty terrific things to these cars. We're pretty amazed in one day to think that some of these vehicles have the systems in them that they have. So there's a little competition going on, and we're winding down the night with a little fun activity here. We're having a casino night, and the guys will be able to take the winnings from their casino and participate in an auction a little bit later on this evening and have an opportunity to win a variety of different prizes.
Wow, that was some weekend.
It sure was. We would like to thank Dean Hutto of Kenwood and all the participants of the Kenwood Installers Workshop for their hard work and cooperation.
We hope you enjoyed Street Noyz's behind-the-scene look in this segment of Let's Make Some Noise. Stay tuned for the Street Noyz miniseries up next.
Prizes can be claimed tomorrow morning at 9:45 during breakfast in Salon F.
Okay, so who knows sound? Everybody knows sound. Good sound is good sound. Nobody can argue with it. That's the way it is. That's been my experience over the last 25 years. The most important thing that I think, the first basic step that you have to learn about sound is phase. Everything moving together at the same time. Whether it's a high-end driver, a mid-range driver, a low-end driver, it's all got to move together at the same time. If something's out of phase, it just won't sound right. It just won't sound right, whether you can pinpoint it or not. If you have one component out of phase, if you have a signal line out of phase. If you have in the signal line, from your head unit to your equalizer, to whatever processing unit you have, to your amplifiers. If your forward phase coming out of your unit, you reverse it somewhere, reverse it back somewhere, and it hits forward phase at your amplifier again, you can hear that stuff. Whether people say, well, when you hit the speakers, you're in phase again, you can still hear it. You can still hear it. In the end, again, the ear is what counts. If you have your whole system moving backwards, moving in reverse, and you say to yourself, doesn't sound right to me. Flip it around, move it forward. Does it sound better to me? Whichever way it sounds to you, whichever way sounds better to the ear is the way it should be. It's what's in the ear that counts. It's what your ear tells you that counts. That's what's going to sell you. That's what's going to bring people back to you, is what you produce in the air. That's one reason why all the good engineers in the world, in my field, is a pretty small clique. That's why they constantly work, because it's not technically what you do. It's what you put in the air. what reaches the ear that counts. An RTA will show you frequency response, sound pressure levels, things of that nature. If you put an RTA on it, say you want to flatten something out, it's good to use an RTA to, let's say, get a flat sound per component. Take your low end, flatten that out so that it's responding correctly at all levels. If you're using the third octave, I'm talking about. Anything less than that is not really worth the time to do an RTA. And you do your different components and you flatten them out. It's worth it to look at it and trust it for that. Then what I would do is I would adjust my levels to my ears, between the lows, the mids, the highs, whatever sounds the smoothest to me. And at that point, I would say, okay, the RTA told me that it's flat. I know that it looks right. Does it sound right? And if it doesn't sound right, that's when I go to 5 point or 5K or 6.3 or someplace that's like really giving me some kind of dart, and I just start tweaking it until it's smooth. Because the RTA will get you in the ballpark, but it is by no means a definitive thing. What determines the dynamic range? The difference in decibels between the loudest and the quietest portion of the program source. Now you may have a CD that has a dynamic range of 100 dB, but when you listen to it, even in this environment, there's ambient noise in this room. The best dynamic range you're going to get close to that is probably putting a pair of electrostatic headphones on. And headphones versus the house ambient, of course, when you take the headphones off, you have more noise to contend with. In the car, you have more noise to contend with. So what do you do to get all that stuff done? The only way you can increase that dynamic range is to lower your floor. Okay, so you lower your floor by acoustical treatments, whether you deaden the doors in your car or take your interior out and do whatever you're going to do with that whole thing to get the road noise down. That's what's going to increase your dynamic range. Wind noise, everything.
And now for my next number, I'd like to return to the classics.
Def Jam. Here it is.
Okay. Cut it. Well, what'd you think? Pretty neat stuff, huh? Time sure flies when you're having fun.
It sure does, Larry. And if you thought that this issue was packed with talent and quality information, wait until you see what's coming up in our next edition of Street Noise.
That's right. In fact, let's preview a few of the feature segments from our January '96 issue of Street Noise.
In the next issue of Street Noise, we'll visit some of the industry's most successful retailers and see how they've evolved from the early days of mobile electronics. We'll also have exclusive interviews with some of the recent winners at the IASCA and USAC championships. Finally, join us as we take the next step on our competition vehicle with the design of the aperiodic enclosure.
Pretty exciting, Larry. I can hardly wait. From the cast and crew here at Street Noise and N.A.M.E, I would like to thank all of our guests and participants of this edition of Street Noise Video Magazine. I'm Holland Moore.
And I'm Larry Silver saying so long until next time. Yeah, you wish. You wish.
Sorry, you guys.
We first asked Harry to tell. Who's Harry? Harry oh, that's who Harry is. Okay.
Okay.
That's Mike's screw up. Take two. Where do you get manuals?
National manual. Tomato, tomato.
25 years ago, I started in business. My fascination, a love of taking raw materials, steel, copper, aluminum, and wood, and turning into fine instruments and reproduce music. We are MTX, and we are serious about sound.
Keep your Californian lights on.
Visibility means safety when riding at night. Nothing is more visible than Californion, the flexible peel and stick light tape. Californion emits a laser-like glow, clearly visible for hundreds of yards. And it's fun. Just look at these kids ride. So order now from this exclusive introductory offer. The simple peel and stick tape and clip-on battery box is so easy, even your child can do it. Don't delay. Order now. Enjoy peace of mind and cool looks, all for only $19.95. Order for your bike, order for your helmet, but order now.
As a mother, I'm excited to introduce new Californion safety lighting. When attached to your child's bicycle or helmet, this fantastic new ribbon-like lighting makes your child far more visible than any other type of lighting.
All major credit cards and checks accepted. Call toll-free 1-800-274-4048 now. Only $19.95 plus $3.95 shipping and handling. Call 1-800-274-4048 and ask for our special discount.
Sorry.
Honey, it looks cold out. Could you start my car and warm it up for me?
Yes, dear.
The Force Car Remote Starter will start your car from up to 450 feet away with the touch of a button. Your car will be warm and toasty on cold days, cool and comfortable on hot days.
Thanks, honey.
Right now through November, get a Force Remote Car Starter from the AV Showroom for $149 installed. The Force Remote Car Starter, $149 only at the AV Showroom, 493 Amherst Street, Nashua.